All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Hey everybody, before we get this episode started, I just want to say thank you for tuning in and supporting the brand. Over the last few years, as you guys know, I started a business called Farmer Grade. It's a direct-to-consumer meat business focused on the story between the farms, the farmers, and the butcher shop. And we are trying to bring meat to the marketplace that you can actually trust. We partner with the most well-known livestock farmers in the entire United States that have social media followings, so you can follow along and see what they're doing on their day-to-day lives and day-to-day processes on their farm. We are actually running a 10% off discount sale right now for all our pork boxes in honor of it being Porktober. So all our pork boxes on farmergrade.com right now are 10% off. We got a pork box that's 10 to 12 pounds with some roast, some bacon, some sausage, some pork chops. We got another one that's just bacon and breakfast sausage. We got an all-American rib box, all for sale that you can get 10% off. So head over to farmergrade.com if you're interested. Go get that sale, take advantage. It's only going to last until the 31st. So if you're interested, go grab one. And with that being said, guys, we appreciate it. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn, but not today. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today is going to be a Barn Talk Hot Topics episode. A lot of crazy crap going on around the world right now. A lot of war mongering. You guys know, Middle East conflict. We got Russia-Ukraine conflict. We got China and Taiwan. Kind of a heated conflict maybe starting over there. So we're going to talk about all our thoughts on that. But before we get into it, you guys know the drill. Pay the fee. If you get any value from the show, share it out with friends, family, coworkers, employees, team members, whoever. The more that you guys share this show, the more it's going to grow, the better guests we can get on, the better content we can make. It's a win-win for everybody, and it's kind of the ticket to admission to watch or listen to the show. Feel free to also leave a review on Spotify or Apple. We're doing a raffle, and we're giving away free pork from our farm. So if you submit a review on Spotify or Apple and send it to us at barntalkshow@gmail.com, you'll be put in a raffle, and we're going to announce it next month on the show on the winner, and you're going to get sent a 10 to 12-pound pork box from the pork from our farm. So submit your reviews. And you can also submit your questions for our Barn Talk Q&A episodes at barntalkshow@gmail.com as well. That's where you can submit the questions, and we'll get the answers for them and answer them on the show. So we're officially done with harvest. So thank the Lord for that. It was a good harvest this year. It was a little bit longer than normal. We did a few more acres than we did previous years, but it was good team. We had a good crew doing it, and it was a lot of fun, but I'm glad that it's over. So we can get back to being on point with our podcast schedule, and it'll be good. So
is the raffle open to family and employees of Farmer Grade Inc.?
Yeah, you could try to throw your name in the hat, but if I did pull your name, I'd probably throw it in the trash.
Maybe I'll use an alias.
Yeah.
In these uncertain times, having a freezer full of pork is a comforting thing.
And an alias name, too.
True, that might be handy. I was so stressed out after working on the podcast outline that when we went to the grocery store, I bought 12 extra cans of Bush's baked beans
That's when you know it's getting a little crazy out here.
Things go south. It's good to have a few extra cans of baked beans.
Not only for eating, but to throw at people, too.
Yeah, those cans are heavy. That's right. If you get down, it's hand to hand, and the government's taking your weapon. There's always if you get somebody with them tall cans of Bush's baked beans,
it's like a stun grenade.
Yeah, they're not recovering from that. That's out. They're done. They're down
see some
for the
stars.
Count.
Yep.
So good.
I agree. Yeah.
Market update.
Well, that's why they've gone up in value so much. They are consumable, but they also can be used as self-defense.
Don't let anybody know that. That's
why they're upcharging it.
Before long, you're only going to be able to get them in like an 8-ounce can.
Yeah.
Because it's too dangerous to have the 28.
We're going to start the trend of when, remember COVID and all the toilet paper is gone, there's going to be a baked bean shortage after listening to this episode.
It could happen. I don't have the commodity update on the baked bean market, but I do know that you used to be able to get them on sale for 99 cents, and now they had them on sale for $1.99, but they're usually $2.49 or $2.69, or they may even be $3. It's rough out there. That grocery bill. Trish and I, when we go to the store together, we do a over/under. We try to guess what our grocery bill is, and usually we always guess low for some reason. So today's market update, courtesy of the fine people at Katz Grain in Washington, Iowa. If you are trying to come up with your marketing decision and you either want somebody to tell you what to do or to just pat you on the back and say, yep, that sounds like a damn good idea, call John at Katz Grain. He can help you out. December corn, $4.94, and that was pretty current. This is about the most current update we've had in a long time because I just got it before I came over there. That was down a penny. Locally, $4.76, and ADM in Cedar Rapids has the hot bid at $4.94, and that's good from the 23rd to the 27th if you'd like to go up and sleep in line, because I'm sure the line will be very long. And with that same token, beans, $12.92 for November contract. Burlington has $12.80, but Cargill in Cedar Rapids has $13.20. And that's a hot bid. Once again, you're probably going to be sleeping in your truck. Wheat, $5.85. Bean meal, $420 a ton. The hog market is an absolute train wreck. December contract for hogs, $66. To put that in perspective, the cost to produce a pound of pork is probably, it varies a lot by what your input costs are, whether your buildings are paid for, whether you're feeding your own corn, whatever. But Iowa State thinks it's around $85 a hundredweight. And you got to go all the way till May, as far as futures go, to where you get a price that will even get you to break even. Wieners, wiener pigs, so 15, 20-pound wiener pigs, are around $24 right now on the market, and the cost to make that pig is about $43. So if you are a guy who has a sow unit and you've been selling wiener pigs, your pain is very high, very high. It's not a good time in the hog business, and it doesn't want to improve. So, hey, buy a pork box. More pork boxes we can sell, more pork goes. Hopefully, we'll help the market a little bit. Cattle, $184. Feeder cattle, $242. Bitcoin hit 30,000. I've only had Bitcoin on here. I don't know how long it's been since it hit 30,000. It's been a while. Tesla's $211. I'd be a buyer of Tesla stock at $211. Gold, $1,991. Headed up. A lot of uncertainty in the world, so gold bugs are coming out. Silver, $21.40. There you go.
Is Bitcoin up much?
It's been floating around 27,000 for a long time. Finally got to 30.
Well,
it's got a long ways to go to be the dominant store of value in the world.
Yeah, it does have a little bit to go.
And
I just thought about what you said about gold, and I figured that Bitcoin would have probably went up a little bit too.
Well, I think all the markets are suffering from the fact that there's a lot of retired people in this country that now can get a decent return on a CD or a government bond. So there's a lot of money that is not going to be invested in speculative trades, because why would you? If you got enough money saved up, just go buy T-bills. If you think because the government would never go bankrupt. That would never happen. 33 trillion, 35 trillion. It's no.
Who's to keep it score?
We own the printing press. Just make more money. And if we go to a digital currency, we won't even have to spend the money on the power to run the printing press. You just print it out of thin air. So that's actually more efficient. That'll save us money. We can print more money.
Government will have even more control.
They're here to help.
Oh, yeah.
They're here to help. They care about you.
Before we get into the hot topics we got on here, I've seen some comments of people, and this happens every once in a while when we get more people listening to the show or watching the show. People say, stick to farming, stick to business, stick to ag, stop talking about politics. And every once in a while, I like to just remind you guys that One, this is our show, and we want to talk about what we want to talk about. We like to talk about politics. We like to talk about what's going on in the world because it spices it up, and there's always something going on in the world. We like to give our thoughts on it. But two, if we don't talk about politics and talk about what's going on in the world and have a real discussion about it, and we just keep letting what's been happening continue to happen and nobody talks about it, we're going to be sheep just led to fall off the cliff. Because if the economy's terrible, our government's controlling, they're taxing us to the living hell, and we don't discuss these things and bring them up and talk about it, you might not be able to farm. You might not have a farm business. You might not have a family farm. You might not be a small business owner anymore. You might not be able to make it like we used to make it and be the amazing country that America has been for so long because we don't talk about shit. And it's you know, you got to be, everyone's trying to be political correct. Fuck political correct. We've been doing that for so long. Look where it's got us. Nobody talks about anything because they don't want to get canceled. Nobody wants to say how they really feel because they're afraid they're gonna piss off their family members or their friends or whatever. Fuck that. We don't care. We're gonna talk about what we think's important because we gotta. If you're gonna have a business, if you're gonna have a farm, you gotta have a country and you gotta have a stable country. And right now we're not very stable. And if we don't talk about these things, it could get a lot worse. And there's no point about talking about farming or business because you won't even be able to have one. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, it's very passionate.
That's just a little reminder. So if you don't like our politic episodes, just click off and go watch another one. But we find that it's important to talk about both for those reasons that I talked about just now.
And as we've said many times, you definitely do not have to agree with us. And our goal is not to convince you that we are right. And Lord knows we probably aren't right. And today is a prime example where I hope I am not right. But if nothing else, I hope that the conversations that we have on Barn Talk sparks a little interest in your mind that you should go read about. If you're a person that you do not want to know anything about what's going on in the world and just live in a bubble and get up in the morning and just say, hey, everything's great, more power to you. And I used to be kind of that person, but I can't. And it's like once you wake up, you really can't just lull yourself into whatever. So if nothing else, I hope that it stimulates you to do your own research. If I piss you off enough that you say, boy, he is so wrong, and I'm going to tell him why he's wrong, and I'm going to send him an email, and you go do your digging to prove that I'm wrong, that I'm happy about that. Because if I'm wrong, that's great. Go figure it out for yourself and find your own truth and know it. And if you are confident in that, then I think we've succeeded because that's what we want. We want people to do their own research, come to their own conclusion, and find their own truth about whatever that we're talking about. Whether we're talking about what brand of tractor you should have, or whether we're talking about if the United States government is going to hell in a handbasket. Whatever it is, do your own, think for yourself, be your own person, and definitely don't listen to the people that just feed you the same garble all the time and just expect that, that
you're going to go along with it.
Right. Do your own
research. The moral of the story is to think.
Yes.
We got to start thinking, and we got to start thinking a little bit more than we have been in the past.
Yeah.
And start looking at things differently, because just going along with what they've told us for however long they've been doing that, it's not serving us very well. And the evidence is laid out right on the table for us all to see. So what we got to do as Americans is think and really talk with one another and figure things out, because like I said, it's just, we're not in a fantastic place by any means. So that's all I'll say is just think. So let's get into it. Dad, go ahead.
Okay. So the hot topic of the day obviously is Israel and the Gaza Strip and the Middle East and the mess there. And I guess just to get you up to speed, if you have been under a rock, like 2 weeks ago, Hamas fighters, terrorists, managed to get over the border into Israel, and I think they killed around 1,000 people, over 1,000 people. They took a bunch of people hostage, over 100 people. and really caught the Israelis with their pants down. So we're going to talk about some things that have happened that just don't add up, and this is a good place to start because arguably the Israelis have one of the best intelligence operations in the world, hands down. They have one of the most secure borders in the world around Gaza.
Pretty sure they call it the Iron Dome.
Well, and it's protected by the Iron Dome because they get an awful lot of people trying to shoot rockets into the country and drones and everything else. And they have some people will say that the Iron Dome technology is superior to the United States Patriot missile system. I don't know that, but it works damn well. But even the Egyptians, who are not great friends with the Israelis, but they share a border together, they were telling the Israelis as much as 2 weeks before this happened that, something's going on. There's some shit. We're hearing a lot of chatter. Anyway, the Israelis, when this is all said and done, if it is all said and done, I'm pretty sure that the political party that's in power will no longer be in power over this because somebody's going to start asking questions as to how this was allowed to happen. Because if they had their ducks in a row, it probably should have never happened. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that was the start of it. And then Israel started, they cut off the power, they cut off the water, they cut off all the aid going into the Gaza Strip, and they are systematically bombing anything that they can get intelligence on that is linked to Hamas. There is a shitload of Palestinians, innocent people, that are caught in this deal because the only border other than with Israel, the Gaza Strip borders, is Egypt. And this is interesting, and I didn't know this, but the Egyptians have no love for the Palestinians. They closed the border, and they said, no, we're not letting anybody in, and they didn't let any aid in. The only reason that today there is aid going into the Gaza Strip is because your Uncle Joe Biden went over there and pressured the Egyptians to let aid in. But the one country that probably has less love for the Palestinians than Israel is Egypt. And Egypt controlled the Gaza Strip from 1949 till 1971. So after the 7-Day War, when Israel pretty much kicked their Arab neighbors' asses after they had been invaded by them, when all the dust settled, the Gaza Strip was like a colony of Egypt, and they oversaw the security of it. And guess what? The Palestinians have been meddling in Egyptian politics and trying to overthrow the government of Egypt a few times. So the Egyptians have no love for them. That's why that border stayed closed, and that's why these people, there's a lot of innocent people that are trapped, and it's a shit show. It ain't good. But the Israelis have made the decision that they're going to root this out. The sad part is probably what's going to happen is they are going to kill a lot of people, some of them innocent, and eventually they'll have to go back home. And then a whole new generation of terrorists are going to grow up after seeing what happened to their fathers or their grandfathers. And in 20 or 30 years, you're going to repeat this whole process, because I don't know what the answer is, but I know that this usually this doesn't fix anything.
Typically in the Middle East, no.
Yes, and that's the other thing. And I guess what I wanted to talk about was there are so many parties involved in this that all have their own motivations for what they're doing. So a lot of people talk about Iran, and Iran gives funding to Hamas. And Iran gives funding to Hezbollah, which is in the north. So if you think about, the Egyptian side, southern part of the country, you have Hamas that operates in the Gaza Strip. In the northern part of the country, you have Lebanon, and Lebanon is barely a country. It's been in civil war for I don't know how long, and it's very fractioned. And Hezbollah is the leading political party there. However, they're not the only one. And their sworn goal is death to Israel, death to all the Jews, as is Hamas.
Terrorist group.
Both of them are funded by Iran. However, the Iranians are Persian Muslims. Hezbollah and Hamas are Sunni Muslims. As far as Iran, the purists of Iran, the Ayatollahs, to them, Sunnis are an abomination, just like the Saudis, because the Saudis aren't Persian Muslims either. So you get into all this. There's just a lot of politics involved in this. And the long story short on it is, Iran is more than happy to give them money, but they're also more than happy whether they live or die, because in their eyes, they're expendable. And if it makes the U.S. look bad and you kill a lot of Jews...
Yeah, if it makes the U.S. or Israel look bad.
Yeah, it's a good deal for Iran, but they're not interested in taking any of the Palestinians in, and they're not the Palestinians' friends. It's more of a deal that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so you got Egypt, you got Syria, you got Jordan, and you got Lebanon. And Egypt is by far the country that's in the best shape around them, and Egypt wants nothing to do with this. Jordan doesn't want anything to do with it. Lebanon and Syria are your two hot buttons. Syria's in the middle of a civil war, mostly in the north, and it's the idea that this is going to end in World War III. I think there's some people that are pushing that, and we're going to talk about it. But to say that that's a foregone conclusion, there is a lot of things that would have to happen, because a lot of the players that are in there really have no interest in pushing that button. But it is a mess, and the U.S. has got two carrier groups in there, and you can bet your ass that there are SEAL teams probably on the ground in Israel prepping for if they find the American hostages that are held, because there are Americans being held in Gaza that were taken hostage, and the U.S. will try to get them out. And so at some point, if they get intelligence, you can bet your ass that there'll be SEALs in there. Now, you won't ever hear about it. Maybe you'll hear about it when it's done. And if it goes badly, you probably won't hear about it at all. But I don't know. The idea of American boots on the ground, I think the U.S. doesn't want to go that far. However, they want to give them aid.
I think there's certain people that would want nothing more than to put boots on the ground and have the war machine churn out what they're churning out as far as money and creating, military industrial complex. There's money to be made there when we go to war. But at the same time, I think there's some people that look at the state of our country. I hope there's some politicians that look at the state of our country and go, yeah, it's probably not the best time to go to war or put boots on the ground. I would hope. But I think that there's a potential possibility, like you said before we got on the show, that we could be fighting another proxy war like we are with Ukraine and Russia, which that's not as bad as boots on the ground, but it's still, we're giving aid to another country, Israel. And then you got the Taiwan-China thing, that's heating up. So who knows what's going to happen there. But ultimately, I am on the stance of, no, I'm not picking a side. And I think you see the new free Palestine, or I'm on team Israel or whatever, and it's just like the black square thing with George Floyd. It's just like every other fucking social bullshit that goes on in this country, where people just do shit for attention and put it on social media like they're actively fucking doing something about it. And it's just bullshit. Innocent people are dying. War's never good. Yeah, there's some bad people in both of those countries that are, or the Gaza Strip and Israel, that are fighting, and people are dying, and innocent people are dying, and that's terrible, and I don't condone that anywhere. But I hate this movement in American culture now, and maybe it's just everywhere, but everybody has to take a side. Everybody has to take a stand. Everybody wants to do everybody wants clicks. You know, there was a group, it was like Trans for Palestine, you know, and they made a whole march, or they did a movement or a protest and put it online. And it's just like, that guy's got to know that they would you'd be murdered in the streets and probably beheaded if you were to ever go there with what's on your t-shirt right now. But it's just all about clicks and publicity and getting the views and the likes. And that's kind of what social media, that's kind of one of the bad things about social media nowadays. But I'm in the belief we got to do what's best for us right now in America. We got to be American first. Yeah, there's some crazy shit going on everywhere else, but if we're not stable here and we're not at our best here, how are we going to be at our best for everybody else? And if the American people are, you know, the border's been an absolute mess, all this conflict is heating up around the world, you know, people are just uneasy in this country. The economy,
we have no money.
We have no money. All the soldiers that didn't want to get vaccinated got kicked out of the military. We got fucking trans generals and fucking trans sergeants running the military in the high level of military. We're fucking promoting weakness everywhere, weak men everywhere. We don't got any money. We sent all our weapons, and not all of our weapons, but a lot of weapons to Ukraine, a lot of money to Ukraine.
Now we want to send it to Israel.
We want to send it to Israel. Southern border's been wide open for the whole time Biden's been in office. And God knows how many Hamas or Hezbollah terrorists have come over the border.
Or fill in the blank.
I mean, whatever you want to say. Yeah, and it's a lot of people have been saying for a long time, you know, there's a lot of middle-aged, military-aged
men.
Yeah, military age. Keep saying middle-aged. Military-aged males coming across the border, southern border. And they've been saying that for months to maybe even a year now. They're seeing a lot of that activity happening, and it's really odd that not a lot of women and children are coming across the border, you know? And so it's just worrisome. And where I stand on it is I really don't want to put boots on the ground. I really don't want to go do another Iraq-Afghanistan deal where we did that conflict for however many 2 decades and nothing really got accomplished at the end of the day. We left all our shit there, got out of there, did a terrible job of getting out of there, and we had a lot of American men and women die. And it's not for nothing, but to them, they probably do feel like it's for nothing. Yep. You know? We don't need that shit again. We don't need to spend trillions of dollars fighting somebody else's fight and sacrificing our men and children's lives for fucking what?
Yeah.
For fucking what? It's bullshit.
I think it's very interesting that as soon as the Israeli conflict started, the media just rolled up so fast. And what I think is interesting that I've watched is you have Joe Biden, who has come out, and I'll give him a little bit of credit that he's been consistent, which they must have upped his Adderall. He's
got a nutsack as a chin now.
He has been consistently supportive of Israel. But what I think is funny is you have a media machine that is not supportive of Israel. If you look at CNN and MSNBC, they were foaming at the mouth when there was a parking lot next to a hospital that blew up because Hamas had a bomb that went off or was misfired and it blew up this parking lot. And you had members of the United States government, elected officials, that were a full day after it was revealed that it was not Israel that did this, it was Hamas, they were still claiming that it was Israel. And now, of course, they were Muslim. They were an elected official that were Muslim, so they hate Israel, so they were going to push it as far as they could. But the media was all over that too. I mean, they so badly are anti-Semitic. But your president that you've put up on a pillar, he is standing with Israel, and I just think that's really curious. But the whole thing, the media is fully on board, pushing for
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine, but also pushing war.
Yeah.
They're pushing this. And there was a bill, we might be jumping ahead a little bit, but there was a bill that was introduced in Congress to fund the war in Israel, or the war in Ukraine, aid to Israel, $110 billion. 100 of it going to Ukraine, 10 of it going to Israel. However, interesting, the Republicans, who are doing a piss poor job, they spent the last 2 weeks fucking around because they couldn't elect a speaker. And in the midst of that, there was a bill that was before them for funding for the border and for building the wall, and it was voted down. They couldn't agree. There are a lot of soft-ass fucking people at every level of
And this
America
is the Senate, right?
and the government.
Republicans control the Senate, right? Or they have the majority?
The House.
Or the House.
I think the House.
Sure?
I don't know.
I don't know. One of them. One side of Congress.
But so now they've slipped border funding into this bill that a lot of people don't want to support, but they're going to sell it. They're going to sell it as, you want to get funding for the border? Well, then you better fund sending $110 billion overseas. And it's shit like that. It just infuriates me.
What's infuriates me about all that is the bills aren't being written. It's not American first.
No.
Why is it our border? The only way we can get funding for the border to secure it up is if we send billions of dollars to other countries for aid. Why is it that way? Why isn't it the other way? Why aren't we thinking, okay, it's a crazy time right now. Our border's been wide open for years. We better secure this thing up a little bit better than we do right now because a lot of shit's going down everywhere else. And I don't know, there's some arrogance in this.
Seems logical.
Yeah, seems pretty logical to me. There's some arrogance in the United States that I think we've been always saying is, America can never get invaded. It's impossible. It's impossible.
It'll never happen.
It'll never happen. It'll never happen. We have the most armed citizenry in the entire world, and I agree to that. But I mean, if you let the fucking border wide open and you don't give a shit and we got our pants down and we're worried about everybody else's problems, I mean, I guess you could maybe have a conflict happen. My biggest fear is this. I think there's some people that don't want war and they want to fight a proxy war just like we are with Ukraine and Russia, and we're going to give aid to Israel and do that, and we're not going to actually put boots on the ground very much. Great. But there's also a side of people that want to fucking put boots on the ground. They want to get the military-industrial complex machine fucking rolling, make some money, send our boys over there, send our women over there. And I worry that we're going to have another situation like we did with 9/11 happen in this country where we've had the southern border open and there's going to be some terrorist attacks happening in the United States. And one might be just as big, or there might be a few smaller ones that happen across the United States, and that fucking drum, that war drum is just going to pound and pound and pound and pound and try to get the American people riled up, say, we got to go to war. We got to go take out Hamas. We got to take out Hezbollah. We got to do it. We got to get over there. And we're going to have the same fucking shit happen that we did with 9/11. We're going to fucking go over there.
Well,
for what?
Here's where it gets interesting. Because as it stands today, I don't think there's much of any chance that you're going to see boots on the ground in the Middle East. However, Israel came out yesterday and they made the statement that if Hezbollah attacks them out of Lebanon on the northern part of their country, they said that they will hold Iran accountable. They will take the fight to Iran and, quote, cut the head off the snake. In other words, they're saying that any aggression by Hezbollah out of Lebanon is going to be taken as an attack from Iran, and if that happens, they're going to attack Iran. Okay. Well, if you do that, then all bets are off. And if you were going to attack Iran, the fastest, easiest way to cripple that country is to attack their oil infrastructure. And I did not know this, but just about all the oil that gets exported out of Iran flows to a little island. Would it be in the Suez, off of the Suez Canal in the Gulf, I would think. I guess I don't know exactly sure where it's at, but that's their main tanker loading facility. So all the oil that they export goes off of that. Well, if you're Israel, or if you're going to proxy it through, if you're the United States, you're going to proxy it through Israel, you throw enough cruise missiles at that, and you've pretty much wiped out their oil exports, which in turn limits funding. However, that is the sort of thing that could touch off a world war pretty easy. I mean, it just depends on who all would get involved, but it's definitely a step in the wrong direction. However, if that doesn't happen, and you've got Israel fighting a proxy war in the north and the south, and then mess around with Iran, and we have a terrorist act on American soil, and almost instantaneously it is going to be traced back to whoever we want. I shouldn't say that. I just don't trust my government. If that attack is traced back to a terrorist cell linked to Iran, then all bets are off, because it's exactly what you said. The drum's going to start drumming, and it's going to be, we got to go over there. We got to fix this. We got to put boots on the ground. And from there, it's a slippery slope.
My thing with it is, though, I don't think it's going to be like 9/11 was, because I think now people are so... They are so jaded and don't trust the government. A lot of people aren't trusting the shit that they're saying, and I don't feel like it was like I wasn't old enough to know, but it sounds like in 2000, 2001, it was what your government kind of told you is kind of what you did, and there was no really social media, and you kind of just took their word for it, and it was great and whatever, and like a terrorist attack happened. We're going over there, and it was like one of the most patriotic times in America. Fucking everybody's flying American flags. We're going to get revenge. It's going to be great.
It was, and it
was actually, you know, I've looked back and seen videos. Like, I remember, like, it was a cool time to actually see America come together and be united.
And it lasted long enough for us to get involved and then pass the Patriot Act and start spying on everybody in the country. And then that very quickly went away.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. We all woke up and said, all right, we need to put our shit aside and come together.
Well, look at Junior.
Yes.
Junior, we just had him on the podcast. He was working at Porkmore with you. He saw that. He said, I'm fucking going over there. And there was a lot of guys like that. They were like, fuck this. We're getting revenge. We're going over there, and we're going to stomp.
We're going to fix it.
We're going to stomp a mud hole in their ass, is how it kind of was.
Yep.
This time around, I just don't know. To me, personally, if that happens, I don't feel like I'm going to be up to just sign up and go over there, because I don't feel like it's really our fight. What we've seen the last 2 decades with what happened in the Middle East when we went over there before, not much shit happened. Not much shit changed. We're not putting ourselves first here. Out of all the problems that we have here in America, going and fighting a war, I don't think it should be on our top 10 priority list.
Right.
And then, I don't really trust that the government's putting us in their best position to go over there and fight. I just don't think it's
trust. That is the biggest thing in my mind. That is the biggest thing that has changed. If you want to go from 2011 to 2023, the biggest thing that
11
I think has
1?
Changed.
2001 or 11?
It was 2001.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that's changed, I'm old. I can't keep, like, it doesn't seem like it should be that long ago, but it has been. The biggest thing to me that has changed in America when I think about government is trust. I feel like a majority of people today, back up, I feel like a majority of people 20 years ago, if you did a poll, the majority would have trusted the government to do the right thing. The majority of people would have said they believe the government had their best interest in mind. If you took that poll today, and I know there's polls out there, that's totally flipped. Most people don't trust the government. They don't trust their elected officials. They don't believe the government cares about them, and they don't believe the government is telling the truth. Blanket. Not, are they telling the truth about this, or are they telling the truth about that? Blanket. Anything that they say to you, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't trust it. So when they come to you after something like that happens and say, these are the people responsible, this is what we're going to do, this is why we're going to do it, this is how we're going to do it, I think they're going to have, I don't think the support is going to be there for the reasons you said. There's so many problems we have here, and our government hasn't even been able to take care of our cities. Do you know how many people are dying in the 10 biggest cities in America from violence every day? And we've defunded the police. We have
drugs run rampant.
We have taken groups that their best interest is in making America weaker, and we've empowered them, and we've taken away power from the people that want to protect us. Plus, we've caused enough distrust that people don't have hope, and you want us to take and send our blood, our treasure overseas in another foreign war. I don't.
Not a lot of support. I think they'll try to spin it just like they spin COVID, just like whatever fucking narrative they want to run, they want to shove down our throats, they're going to shove it down our throats.
Yeah.
You're probably going to see the celebrities and the athletes and the fucking influencers come out and promote the war if that's what they want to promote, that we need to go over there. But I don't think people are going to buy it. I just don't. And I pray that doesn't happen. I pray that we don't have to have a situation when we're thinking about going and putting boots on the ground and having World War III. I hope that it's the proxy war situation where, and I don't really like that situation either. No. We're giving all this aid, but out of the two choices,
yeah,
it's picking between the two evils. And I guess out of the two choices, let's go with that one, because to me, that's worst case scenario, saying we got to put boots on the ground. We're going to have a draft. Hope to God not, but we're going to have a draft.
That's how they're selling it. That's how they'll sell it. They'll sell it the same way that they've sold everything. The war in Ukraine, is we are having the Ukrainians fight the war that the military-industrial complex has always wanted to fight, but we're just fighting it cleaner. We're not having to get our hands dirty. And I'll tell you something, all you Dems out there, you think that your hands are as pure as a wind-driven snow, and you're the ones that care for everybody. What is happening with the Ukraine war? That is Democrat theology. The Democrats, more than Republicans, have forever wanted to humiliate Russia, destroy Russia. Russia's got to pay. That foreign policy that Biden's pushing, that is not anybody else's but his. Now, there's plenty of Republicans that are bought and paid for by the military-industrial complex that are more than happy to do it. But what's going on there is that what Biden has pushed, that is coming all the way lockstep with the theology of that wing of the United States government. And that's the same thing you're going to see with Israel. And the Israelis have to defend themselves. They're in a horrible spot. I'm not saying they don't.
But they're well equipped. I mean, we've had their back for a while. They're one of the most, they're advanced in a lot of ways.
We're gonna keep having their back.
Yeah.
There's, like you said, they're gonna give you the worst of two options, and it's gonna be, we're gonna fight a proxy war. And this isn't gonna stop.
Well, no, that's the best. That's the better out of the two.
It's the best of the worst of two bad
options.
Yeah, but I just I don't know. People are starting to wake up, and we say that all the time, but people are starting to vote with their money too. This is a story that I haven't seen anywhere other than I just happened to see it in the Wall Street Journal. So Pfizer's quarterly report or annual report, their profits are way off. And the reason they're way off is because nobody's getting the booster shots. The amount of people that are getting the next round of boosters dropped way off.
That fucking Travis Kelce ad real aged for you, didn't it, Travis?
Mr. Pfizer didn't help.
Fucking dumb.
But it's because people don't trust it. There's enough shit coming out about it and the negatives of the COVID vaccine that people are like, I'm not getting that.
Well, it's also just the shit that they told us.
Right.
You're not going to get the virus if you get vaccinated. That's total bullshit.
So that really jumped off, but that was just to say that people finally do, even some of the true believers that just are absolutely convinced the government that, yep, I believe in it, I voted for these guys, they're going to help, they're going to do it. Even a lot of those people are starting to say, you guys let me down. This is not right. Something's not right. Nope, I don't believe in this. And you're going to see the same thing as this narrative gets pushed to put America third instead of taking care of the problems that we have. And I can't emphasize enough, we're broke. And anybody that says, we're not, well, no, we are. The problem is the whole world is broke. And the whole world has overspent. There is more debt in the world than can be serviced unless you pretty much take everything from everybody, which may be what the World Economic Forum wants to do. But people, at some point, we have to get our house in order. And I can't believe that there isn't more pressure for that than what there is.
I just can't believe, I'm so tired of just not putting America first. That's what I'm tired of. I'm tired of it. We haven't been doing it for however long now. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of, and I think a lot of people can relate. I'm sick of all the bad shit we got going on here and nobody's doing fucking shit about it. And we're worrying about other conflicts everywhere else. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing the black squares and the free Palestine and this fucking new trend that the media is shoving down my throat. I'm going to get on it and I'm going to do it for clicks. Like, where's the American flags getting posted? Where's the people saying we need to put us first? I'm not saying what's going down around the world and what's going down with the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians and the Israelis I'm not saying it's not fucked up. It is. It's sad. People are dying. Innocent people are dying. People are being kidnapped. And it's terrible. It is terrible. But that shit's gone on.
Well, that's the other thing.
Forever, and that shit goes on in a lot of places when we don't even hear about it sometimes.
And this isn't going to fix it.
And this isn't going to fix it. It's not going to fix it. And we just continue to just put ourselves last and help these other countries. And I get it if you got the heart, you got a big heart, whatever. But at some point, you got to think about us here, your family here, your legacy here, your next generation with your last name. Are we going to have a country? Are we going to have a stable country? Are we going to have the freedoms that we've all enjoyed? Are your kids going to have those? I don't know, because we just keep getting put last over and over and over and over and over again. Over and over and over and over again. I'm tired of it.
I think that the title of this podcast might just be that Sawyer's tired.
I'm tired of it. I am. I'm tired of not the people we put in power, not putting the American people first.
Yeah.
Period.
And one thing I will say that I wanted to throw in here is if you are going to think for yourself, you have to realize that there are people that you would generally agree with on a lot of things that are pushing their own agenda, that they are trying to get those clicks. They are trying to incite a certain reaction. And I'll just give you an example. There was a guy on TikTok the other day that had some blurb about Oh, okay. Here's one. Just today, there's somebody that put a thing out about Chinese warships being in the Mediterranean, that the Chinese have sent warships in the Mediterranean.
Go after Taiwan.
Yeah. No. In the Mediterranean around Israel.
Oh, yep.
And, yeah, the problem with that is they've been there since, like, I don't know, May. And it's not, the Chinese Navy is not anything. People that get on this train about China, I'm one of the people that I think China is about ready to fall in a heap. The problems they have, the debt they have, the problems with their government,
demographics,
they're getting weaker by the day. And their Navy can't do shit much past Singapore because they're not equipped to, they are not anything. People go about the number of ships that China has, greater than the United States. Yeah, but they're nothing. It's nothing compared to a United States Navy battle group. And that guy was just trying to get clicks. There was another one on there where somebody was talking about that the country of Qatar was going to cut off oil exports to the United States if we supported Israel or if Israel didn't get out of Gaza. Well, you hear that and you're like, oh shit, oil's going up. Well, they don't export shit compared to the rest of the world. Like if they just quit exporting oil price would go up like $1 until somebody else produced more. And then the other thing is, in the United States, consumption of gasoline in the United States has gone down. Gas recently around here has actually gone down a little bit, and the reason is because consumption's down. We're producing less gasoline. We've had refinery problems, we've had this or that, but we're actually consuming less gasoline. Now, you can argue as to why we're doing that, probably because the price is higher.
Carpooling, maybe.
Yeah, whatever. But you don't hear about that stuff. And that's why we say you gotta decide, are you just gonna take all this stuff in at face value? Or when you hear a story that you go, well, that doesn't quite sound right. Or you hear a story that is out of the norm of what you usually heard, do you just read it and go, oh yeah, that whatever? Or do you actually dig into it and do your own research, come to your own opinion? That's what you got to do, because there is a lot of misinformation on both sides of
there's a lot of narratives.
Point of view.
There's a lot of narratives, and there's a lot of objectives to those narratives for whoever's posting the article or writing the article or whatever. Just like there's narratives and agendas by some people that probably want to pound the fuck out of that war drum and go, let's put boots on the ground versus let's fight a proxy war versus let's not fight.
Let's not do shit.
There's let's
pay our own.
Yeah, let's get our shit figured out here. Back to the Israel thing, though, we didn't talk about, it's just odd that they allowed Hamas to just come right over their border. And you had a good point about the three things that, we're going to look back on this conflict and think, did they let them come over the border intentionally to take back the Gaza Strip?
Yeah, did they let it happen because they wanted to go to Gaza and clean house?
Were they absolutely just incompetent and they totally fucked up and they didn't see this coming, even though the Egyptians warned them and supposedly they have the best military intelligence in the entire world?
Or three,
or they pushed to do it.
Somebody pushed them to do it.
Yeah.
Don't know.
I can tell you what two I'm thinking it might be, but I'm telling you the one I don't. This one right here. I don't think that they...
This one?
Yeah, this one right here. I did this. 1, 2, 3. This one right here. I don't think that they were incompetent and just allowed that to happen.
I
don't think that. We've been... How many subjects, how many things have happened in the world and happened in this country where we go, well, it's just got to be incompetence. It's got to be incompetence. At some point, we got to say to ourselves, no, they're not fucking dumb. They're doing this on purpose. Because there's so many things that it's just like, you have got to be a complete and utter idiot to do that or let that happen or do this.
Yep. So I think that I think it's important to remember that the Israelis let their intelligence and their military along that border and the border itself failed them. And I think that no matter how far this whole conflict goes, I think at some point we've got to come back to the fact that that happened, and we need to know why that happened, because it would be the best case scenario is that it was incompetence.
And
because if it wasn't incompetence, then it's just another example. And if you're an Israeli, innocent Israelis died, and if they died from incompetence, that's horrible. But if they died because the government let it happen to force a narrative, basically make it their 9/11 to give them the excuse to go into Gaza,
and
that's even worse.
Yeah, that is even worse. That's going to piss them off. But I was just going to say, not only did they let them across, but not only did it fail them, their border or whatever, their intelligence, but the rate on which they defended the people was so slow.
The response time.
The response time was so slow.
Yeah.
So slow.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you said that this could be their 9/11. There was a video of a guy, I don't know if he was I don't know what he was.
He was a military
he was
spokesman.
He was a
spokesman.
He was a spokesman for the Israeli military, and he was saying this is 9/11 and Pearl Harbor combined together. Yep. If you're an American watching, that's what it is.
Based on the population of Israel. Something like that.
And it was just funny that you said that. I don't know. You got to ask why. You got to ask those questions. But just taking everything at face value and just accepting, oh, yeah, well, I guess these, terrorist groups with AK-47s strapped some lawnmowers to their fucking back and flew over the Iron Dome, and they had no idea that it was coming, even though they're one of the most advanced military intelligent countries in the entire world for however long they've been that. It's just odd. It's just really odd to think about that. And I hope and pray that stuff like that's not done intentionally at the end of the day, I hope it's not tyrants in powerful seats forcing these outcomes and sacrificing people's lives for them to benefit.
Push their narrative,
benefit. For them to benefit. I really hope at the end of the day, this isn't all just for tyrants to make a shitload of money or to force an outcome that they need to benefit them, and in turn it sacrifices a lot of innocent people's lives.
Yeah.
Really hope not.
Yeah.
And at a point, I don't know. Like a lot of time, we just think, oh yeah, these little terrorist groups, they're the ones that just start up shit. And Ukraine, Russia, it's a little different. I guess you got world leaders going at it, but here it's just like, I don't know. I think a lot of times you just got to ask yourself why. How does that happen? Yep. How do we let this terrorist group that's not as advanced come and just absolutely blindside us when whatever?
I think that's one of the most important questions so far in this that's going to have to be answered. And at some point it will get answered. The problem is it's like most of those, it'll be answered far, far too late. And I don't know whether lessons will be learned or not. But I think an interesting side note to all this is, and this might or might not be part of this whole narrative. Last week, I think it's Remington. Remington runs the ammo plant called the Lake, and that's where I think all the 5.56 ammunition is made for the United States government. And they overproduce there. So in other words, for that plant to run efficiently, they produce about 30% more ammunition than what the government purchases from them. And they sell all that to you and me. So you can buy that ammunition. They sell it through distributors. Last week, they announced that they are shutting that off, that they are not going to sell any of the ammunition they produce to wholesalers, to the citizenry. It's all going to the government. So that tells you one or two things. Either the United States government has decided that they're going to need a lot more 5.56, or the United States government has decided that we have not been able to ban guns. So maybe the way to do it is to just start choking off all the ammunition sales to where you're not going to be able to find ammunition, and if you can find it, it's going to be so expensive that you're not going to buy it. And another interesting side note to that is the same week or just a little ahead of that announcement, the Hornady ammo plant out in Kansas had an explosion that killed a woman in the primer facility, and it's shut down completely pending an investigation. So ammo's not going to get any cheaper. It's probably going to get more expensive. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because as soon as that was announced, if you go on Brownells, just about every 5.56 out there of a brand that you know, that you've heard of, is out of stock because everybody went click, click, click and bought all they could. And so if you're building that AR, you might want to switch to 308 or 300 blackout.
Change the caliber.
But here's the problem with that, and there's a lot of people that bag on 5.56, and there's people that bag on 308 that 30-06 is a better round than 308. Yeah, it's true, but 5.56 is the most plentiful, and 308 is very, very plentiful. When you start, if you're getting a gun and your thought process is that if shit hit the fan, I want something that I can maybe pick up ammo or find ammo for, you probably don't want to be running 300 blackout, because you ain't going to find that shit anywhere.
Mm-mm.
And there's a lot of old duffers out there that got a 30-06 hunting rifle. I'm one of them, but I sure don't have 3,000 rounds of 30-06 for my bolt action rifle. 5.56, 308, that's the most popular out there, and so that's why people build those guns. So I don't know what we're all going to do, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a deal where they're going to run it like this for a while, and then they'll go back to selling it, or maybe it'll never come back. And the other problem we got is there's a hell of a lot of ammunition manufacturers that have all been sold to foreign companies that aren't even American-owned anymore. And I imagine, I don't know anything about it, but my guess is that because of the chemicals involved in making gunpowder, machining metal, using lead, I doubt that if I call up the Better Business Bureau and tell them that I want to build an ammo plant, when I start my permitting with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, I bet you that the list of hurdles that you have to jump to do that is probably long enough that you just say, fuck, it ain't worth it.
You'll never get your ESG score down on that.
Score. You can put all the solar panels and plant all the trees you want and
hire all the mixed
confused folks.
Yeah, you want.
Yeah. So it probably is not going to get any better. So there again, Bush's baked bean cans. We just put a nice big bow on it. I guess if you can't get
ammo,
go
buy them beans, baby.
Baked beans.
Yeah, I think the moral of this one is just question everything. Do what you can do at home. I would say we're definitely in some weird times here in America, and I would definitely stock up. If it was me, I would definitely stock up and just be wary, Question the narrative, think critically about what they're telling us, and try to put America first. Try to do what you can in your own community of helping your neighbor and setting the standard. We've talked about it a million times on this podcast before. The other thing I would say is I just really hope that there isn't some sought after plan for this to be, or there isn't a plan out there for this to be, just the demise of America. I hope there's not people out here that are our elected officials or tyrants or elites that want America to fall, because right now where we're at in this country with just everything going on and not putting America first in every single facet you could possibly think of, and dividing everybody in this country a million ways to want, just dividing us in every way that they can. It just seems like, man, somebody is methodically just trying to destroy America and destroy the belief in this country and the freedom in this country and the brotherhood, so to say, that people have in this country. We're just trying to just erase it all. You could say that that's what they're trying to do with just everything that they've done thus far. And I just really hope that's not the case. But at the same time, with the body of work that they've shown us the last few years, I wouldn't put anything past these people. I wouldn't put anything past the World Economic Forum. I wouldn't put anything past some elected officials. I wouldn't put anything past elites, world leaders. I wouldn't put anything past them. And I'm not trying to fearmonger anybody, but I'm just speaking into reality. These are the things that I'm thinking about. These are the things that I think about when I see these stories is, man, I really hope that we can figure this shit out. And I really hope we can start putting America first. And I really hope there isn't people, high up people in this country and in this world that want to see death to America or demise of America and put us in a vulnerable situations where we get conquered or we fall. Because in every facet right now in America, we are not doing, not every, but a lot of facets in America right now. We're tripping up and we're failing, I feel like, and we're failing our people. And it's scary, and we got to just do what we can, and we got to vote. We got to set the standard. We got to prepare ourselves. We got to become stronger, because if there is a time where shit goes south, we need strong men and women, strong children even. We need strong families to come together and face whatever's going to be coming at us. So it starts with us, and we outnumber them more than they outnumber us. So that's all I'll say. I appreciate you guys very much. We love you guys very much. Please do your own digging. You don't have, like Dad said in the beginning of this podcast, we're just speaking our minds. This is the shit that we discuss at our kitchen table. The discussions we have on Barn Talk is just like the discussions Dad and I have sitting in the hog barn, sitting on a bucket between loading pigs. This is the stuff that we talk about when we see it, and you can agree with it. You don't have to agree with it, but all I would just say is think. Don't take everything that these people, these media companies, the government, don't take everything that they say at face value, because we've been doing that for long enough, and it's led us to the point that we're at now. So we got to do something different. We can't be, definition and insanity is just to keep repeating the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. I mean, that's where we're at right now. So just do your own digging. We appreciate every single one of you guys that tune in every week. We appreciate all the growth, all the awesome emails and comments that we get from time to time of people just talking about how much they love the show and enjoy the show and can relate to the show. We appreciate you guys. We really, really do. And we love doing this thing. So keep your head up. Keep fighting for America, putting America first in your household. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys back here next week for another episode.